Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Under center is Jameis, handoff. Tony Jones Jr. breaks it outside. He could score. He's to the 5-2. They're looking. Touchdown, Saints.
The first of what we hope is many, many touchdown calls from the new voice of the Saints, Mike Haas, who's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Mike, thanks, man. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm fine. Thanks very much. Good to have you. Good to be on.
All right, so I want to talk about the game and about the team, but I do want to talk about you as well, because I mean it was a first for you as the new voice of the Saints, and you got to call the game for the first time, and you heard the first touchdown call there. So walk us through what were the emotions like, you know, being in the booth for the first time next to Deuce and being the voice of the Saints.
I don't remember a lot. if you had debriefed me after the game, like, okay, what, I would go, oh, I know they turned it over a lot, and there were a lot of penalties, but that's about all I can tell you. So you kind of get, I mean, it just kind of, you just kind of start, right? You start with the pregame, and it's not, for me, it's not a real elongated pregame. It's kind of you're in, you talk to Deuce, you go to the coach's interview, and then you go. And the first quarter was like warp speed, and it really wasn't. It just was in my head. It was like, and so it was hard to get it to kind of slow down. Deuce was amazing. Nothing. When I say nothing ruffles that guy, I had thousands of sheets of paper in front of me, 3 different iPads. He had 2 phones. And he was like, relax, man. You got this. And so, it was fun. I mean, there was so much craziness in that game. I mean, so many turnovers and penalties, and just, it wasn't your typical game. So it was about like I expected. It was a bit rough, but it was still fun.
Mike, let's talk a little bit about the game. It's always interesting in preseason because we watch practice and we hear reports, and then when it transfers to the field, you wonder, okay, what did you see at practice and in the reports that actually translated? So for you, what translated? What looked good in practice that you saw on the field that you went, yep, I thought that was going to go that way?
Well, I thought Callaway, did a good job. And that's about the way he's been playing in practice offensively. He finds the open seam. To me, the biggest differences are the quarterbacks. I mean, the quarterbacks, they drop back, they look around, nobody can hit them. Oh, okay, I'll dump it off over here. Well, that's not, in a game, as we all know, that's not how it goes. I mean, it's like boom, 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 and they're on you. So the speed for them is so different. And there was not a lot of live tackling in practice. They do what they call FUD tackling. Nobody got really consistently brought to the ground. And I think that attributed, and that's really more from Deuce, to the turnovers. Mm-hmm. Running backs carrying it in their wrong arm and then getting hit. And so, it's preseason. So I liked Callaway and certainly Tony Jones Jr. I mean, how can you not? I mean, he was you take him out of the mix, and I'm not really sure what you have. And I also like Paulson Adebo and kind of how he reacted when he was a rookie, and they just went at him and at him and at him. And so I talked to him today. I was like, well, if this were a playground, you were 12 years old, and the quarterback kept coming at you like, I don't respect you. You got 2 choices. You can rise up and bring it on, and that's kind of his attitude. He was like, I loved it, bring it. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I was curious about, and that's what I wanted to hear. So there are a few defensively bright spots, but I mean, you have 12 possessions and you turn it over on 6. Yeah, that's not a recipe to do much on the road or at home.
We can laugh about it because it was the preseason, but they obviously do have to clean it up. It's a great point, though, about the live tackling. Let me follow up, though, with a thought on the defense, because, I mean, Mike, we've talked so much about the losses on the defensive front into free agency and obviously trading Malcolm Brown, and they didn't really address it. They just asked guys to step up, and, man, it certainly looked good on Saturday. Was that at all a surprise to you, or what were your thoughts on that defensive front seven?
I actually think, I was kind of like you. I went into camp kind of thinking, wow, that's, you don't show the Rankins and Malcolm Brown. That's, a couple of big holes to fill. But they've done a really good job, and they like Christian Ringo, and I'm drawing a blank on 77 Jalen
Dalton. Dalton.
Yeah. And so, they've still got Anyamata there. And I think, to me, they're so strong and big. They're so good on the edge that, the middle and also the offensive linebackers did a really good job of kind of helping out, clogging up that middle. Caden Ellis and Pete Werner. And Malcolm Roach and, Shai Tuttle. So, yeah, I think that those four, if you looked at those four guys with Ringo, Roach, and Tuttle, I think they feel better than they did, with the interior defensive line, not to mention how strong they are on the edge. So, yeah, that area, which was a question mark, to me doesn't feel as big. Now, we'll see when the Packers come to town and they're going to run, the first thing they're going to do is test that middle and see. But right now, I don't think it's as big a question mark.
Mike Haas is with us, the voice of the Saints, on Twitter at Mike Haascom, COMM. Give him a follow. You did bring up Tony Jones a bit ago. Who could have seen this coming? Did you have any indication watching this team practice that type of performance might have materialized?
Not really, but they all look great in practice. They run Skelly, they run, one-on-one. It all kind of favors the offense. But and he's not running typically with the ones, but in space, as he's got speed and he's got strength, and so I don't know if I would have seen it coming, but he's done, about what Devontae Freeman, about what Kamara has done. To me, it was impressive with his receptions. He showed me more certainly than Freeman did, and so I think, when you start looking at that roster and who's going to be where, he can do a lot, special teams as well. So he was I wouldn't say it was a surprise. It's just, as you watch practice and it feels like the offense always does better just because the defense in so many areas can't hit them, can't do anything. So it's always tough.
We also learned with the cutdowns that Brett Maher, the place kicker, is gone to IR. I don't know if you have any idea what they might do there as far as bringing in someone else to fill that role.
Yeah, all I know is that they practiced indoors today, and then we did Sean Payton the interview indoors, and then we were removed from the indoor building to go outside to finish the interviews because I'm pretty sure we were trying our kickers inside.
God.
So somebody asked Sean, I think, hey, are you going to sign another kicker? And Sean was like, well, unless we're going to go for it every time, I'm for it. Go for two all the time. So yeah, we'll sign somebody. So yeah, I do not know who they were, but I was kind of heard through the grapevine that they had a couple of kickers that I think, and some other players as well, which is typical of, Monday or Tuesday. I'm sure they had people in yesterday, even though they were off practice. I'm sure they had players in trying out. So yeah, they'll sign somebody. What we don't know is just kind of really how long Will Lutz will be out. We don't really have a definitive answer on that.
Yeah. Mike, before you go, last thing. Week 1 to week 2, the old adage is the biggest improvement. What about in preseason, Monday Night Football at home against Jacksonville? What are you hoping to see, except maybe, not 6 turnovers?
Turnovers take those out of the mix. I was curious about penalties. We had 10 penalties. Baltimore had 9. So I was like, well, what's normal? Like in a preseason game. So I went back to the Saints' 2019 season. Mm-hmm. So this is after the 2018 great, NFC Championship year. So in the 2019 preseason, in the first home preseason, they had 8 penalties. Then they had 8. Then they had 16, and and then they had 4. And their opponents in the preseason had 13, 11, 15, and 6. So the penalties, are kind of what preseason is. It's just a part of it. I want to see this defense step up a little more. I mean, Baltimore's time of possession was 7 minutes more. Baltimore had a 13-play drive, an 11-play drive, and a 12-play drive. Now, one of them ended in a fumble. The other 2 ended in a field goal and touchdown. So that is something that this defense, can't get worn out there, because you don't have Drew Brees coming in to also run an 11 or 12-play drive the other direction. So those kind of long defensive drives would concern me if I, as a Saints, coach.
He is Saints play-by-play voice, Mike Haas. Good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here. Mike, enjoyed you on the call. We'll look forward to Monday night as well. Thanks so much for a couple of minutes.
All right, no problem. Anytime.
All the best. We appreciate it. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.